Hi, it's Gadget UK here again. Quick pickups video, a couple of MVS Neo Geo carts. Sorry, it's turned into Neo Geo channel this at the moment. It's not really supposed to be. I'll do more gameplay videos of different systems and things. I've got an Amiga 1200 I want to do a teardown of. I've got some 500 stuff to do, repair and stuff. You know, I'll certainly covering how I repaired it. 500 plus, an ST floppy drive fix, a whole bunch of different stuff really related to different systems. Yeah, anyway, in the meantime, I'm certainly for the moment a bit obsessed with the Neo Geo stuff. So yeah, pickups 60M1. This is a Chinese cart. This seems to be pretty rare. It's pretty hard to get hold of, and the best place to look for these is actually AliExpress. It's a bit of a, I don't really want to slate it. It's a bit of it's relatively new. eBay's been around for a long time. AliExpress has only been around for 3 or 4 years. I don't know, maybe not that. I don't know. And yeah, you get mostly sort of sellers in China and sort of Asia and stuff. So you get cheap, some good deals and things on there, cheap prices. But some of the stuff you've got to be careful with. You've got to look at the feedback of the sellers and things, just like you would on eBay. Quality can sometimes be lacking in one or two of these products. There's quality control. I mean, this has got a quality control sticker on there, and I actually believe that in this case. And I'll tell you why. Because, and this is the interesting thing, is anybody who's got one of these, 161 in one, or even one of these, 120 in one, will know that some of the games on here are of dubious quality, and I don't mean that they're bootleg or pirate versions particularly, but the graphic ROMs, or usually the sound ROMs. The graphic ROMs are usually for the most part okay on these carts. It's almost like they verify the graphic ROMs and go, oh, if there's a problem there, that'll be visible, we better fix that. And then they come to the VROMs, and if it fails a check, something like, well, it's a couple of bytes here and there, let's just stick it in anyway, can't be bothered with it, it'll cost us to put a new chip on. So I'm pretty sure that that's the approach they take. It's either that, or the ROM images they used to program these were corrupt to start with. They were dumped from a machine that was slightly, it was a semi-working VROM state. It could be that. It could be that they might be identical. It might be because if you bought 100 of these 161 in ones, you would find that the Pulsar sound on some of the game over screen or whatever it is dodgy, and some of the tracks there on Pulsar are dodgy. But I'm using that as an example. Pulsar sounds a bit weird on there. Pulsar on here sounds better, but still a bit weird in places. So that's just an example of one game. I've still got to find a reasonable copy of, whether it's original or what. What was I going to say? So some of you got like Aero Fighters under you. Aero Fighters on here, I think on the 161 Aero Fighters 3 is known to be glitchy. It can't, some people are saying you can't play it at all. You get the bullets stuck on the screen. And I played it a good dozen times, never had an issue. But then I played it another day, and suddenly the bullets got stuck, and there was no collision detection going on. So there is a bug there in the version that's on there. Now the version that's on here doesn't have that. It doesn't have that bug. So you're thinking, oh great, it's fine. But then the VROMs play up on that one. Whereas on this one, every game I've tried on here, I cannot find a fault at all. I get no reboots on any of them. They pretty much, the checksums there, I'm sure are pretty good for the actual program code. But there are no graphical corruptions. There are no problems with any of the sound. Aero Fighters 2, I played that for a good hour yesterday. I got all the way to the end. I played right through to the end. Not a glitch anywhere in the sound or the gameplay. Same with Aero Fighters 3, same with that Strikers 1945 Plus. So it's like saying the quality, that quality control, in this case I believe that, believe it. Could be because it's only got 60 on there, they use smaller chips, it's easier for them to test, it's more cost effective for them to replace the chips when they're not right. But the bottom line is, and this label by the way, I stuck this on here, I'm going to redo it with a bit of a glossy label I think, and it's not really flat, you can tell, doesn't sit very well, so I'm going to redo that. But I put that on there because it's a Chinese cart, and I'll show you as we stick this in. Pick this up, stick this in and play some of that, as Luke says. You'll see. First thing is obviously you'll notice it didn't say the SNK there on the boot screen. And as you can see, it's all in Chinese. So unless some of them are giveaways, like 2001, that's going to be King of Fighters 2001, 2002, 2002 plus or bonus or extra or something, So some of them, King of Fighters 10th, you could work out from the name. 1975, that's got to be Nam, and that's a perfect copy of Nam compared to the sound glitchy one on the 120 and 1. Yeah, Aero Fighters 2 and 3 there. That'll be Strikers, because I know that's the one before those two in the list there. But yeah, so that was why I did the menu description on there. So let's just have a look. Well, I can zoom. You might not be able to see it. I'm not going to be able to get close enough for you to be able to read that. But yeah, additional. What games you get additional over the carts? It's got Ghost Pilots and Twinkle Star Sprites. You get those on the 120 in one. But the flawless copies and stuff, I mean, the ones on the 121 seem okay to me, but still, it's it's always nice to have a second copy of these. And if you've not got the 121, you can get this and get those two games. But you also get, just on the second box from the right there, just near the bottom, you get Waku Waku 7. So that doesn't exist on any of the other ones. Oh, number 17, a few above that, is Voltage Fighter Gao Kaiser. That's one that's not on any of the carts to my knowledge. What else have we got? The top right there, you've got obviously NAM 1975. I know that's on a few of them, but it can be hard to get hold of if you've not got, if you've only got 161 in one or 150 in one. It's in some of the rarer carts, the NAM, so you get that on here, and it's good. The version I've got's good anyway. The Super Spy, that's the only one of these multi-carts that exists on, to my knowledge at this stage. Ninja Combat, it's not a great game, but it's not bad. It's a lot of people have slated it, but I actually think that's a pretty good game, and that's on here. And League Bowling, which another one, it can be hard to find on some of the carts. And I think the final one is number 60, which is Exchanger. So there's a good, 5 or 6 games at least there that can almost justify buying this cart. Unless you can get the originals. The problem is, it's like, say, I don't really, I've started collecting some of these, as you can see. I've still got my King of Monsters there to reassemble. I got that. And I've got another car I'll show you in a sec, and I've got another one on the way. But the problem is some of these are so expensive, sort of £80, £100, £200 for a car. I can't justify that at all. If they were sort of £40 for some of the rarer titles, maybe in 50 or 60, I'd just buy some of the ones I want, but they're just not, unfortunately. So for the moment, the best I can get away with is Multicart, or emulator. Anyway, so the next pickup I'm going to show you is this. You're probably wondering what this is. This is actually a bootleg, or pirate. Well, no, it'll be a bootleg. It's not pirate, because the pirate. I think it's important I just note the differences there. Pirate versions are where someone's obviously pirated, they copied the design, copied the ROMs and everything, but designed it in such a way that it's supposed to look like the original, even from an internal perspective. So you can come in the board, and the boards are all copyright SNK, it's an SNK board design, etc., etc., and you're going, oh no, it's original, no it's not, it's a pirate. With the bootlegs, it's like clearly, it's not designed to look like the original at all, maybe apart from the outside shell. So there's a bit of a grey area there, because sometimes they make the shell look like the original. Obviously they've tried to sell it that way to the arcade operators when they did these, but internally there's not even half an attempt to try and pull off that it's an original bit of kit. They're just as you can see here, it's their own board design, they've used their own chips, and they've done a similar thing you've seen on some of the flash carts, not the flash carts, I must stop calling them that, multi-carts, where they've used reclaimed chips, and you can see logos on here from different things. Yeah, pretty shocking quality boards, really. They're not great. There's another one of those Sammy chips there, It's, I wonder what game that was, or whether it was off a system rather than the actual game cart. I suspect it's come off a game cart, to be honest. But one of those wave boards, or whatever they're called, I can't remember the name of the things now. Atomic Wave, is it? I bet anything that's come off an Atomic Wave cart or board or something, which is a shame. It seems like they're sacrificing some systems that aren't, or carts that aren't selling well, in order to create these pieces of shit. But I'm grateful for this piece of shit, to be fair, because Metal Slug 5 is really hard to come by. I've seen a few copies of it on eBay recently, sort of around £80 to £100 mark. I really don't want to pay that, but at the same time, I haven't got a copy of Metal Slug 5. I've got every other Metal Slug on pretty much all of these carts. One of them's got all of them on it, the other one's got nearly all of them on it, that one's got half of them on it. So yeah, Metal Slug 5 is hard to get. I think it exists on the 138 in one, but that is just like rocking horse shit. I just can't find one anywhere, even on AliExpress. And come back to what I said about AliExpress, I sort of sidetracked myself before. You want if you want to get these flash carts cheap, including that 16.1. What you've got to do with 16.1 is check every day. Just check AliExpress every day, every evening, and I would say every 2 or 3 weeks you'll see the same seller will put sort of 8 or 10 of these up for sale. And then they won't be there for another 2 or 3 weeks. So it's easy to think, oh, you can't get them, they're impossible to find, but they're not. You just need to keep checking back. You know, I would say once or twice a month you'll see these come up, and they're only there for a day or two, and then they're sold out. So if you want one of those, that's the place to look. And they're reasonably cheap. I paid something like just under £40, including shipping for that, straight from there. And these 120-in-1s, you'll see them on eBay selling for £70, £80. On AliExpress, same thing. You'll buy these for around £40 shipped, or just under 50, I would say at least. So you know, they're not overly priced for what they are, really. Yeah, so coming back to this Metal Slug, as you can see, I've got the boards out here. You might be wondering why. Well, you know, it's obvious, I guess. Just you can see here, I've got a bit of insulation tape where I covered these up, because the first thing I did with this, plug it in as it was, test it, and in fact, let's just do that now. Let's just see what it's doing. Right, as you can see, it seems to work. So it may crash in a minute. Let's just see how far it gets.
Mission 1, start.
So graphics look good, sounds fine. But then at various random points this will create an exception. The universe will detect an exception. You get some corrupt, say it did a weird thing, see that I jumped and it sort of reset me. I actually lost a life, didn't do anything wrong. Bizarre. So we'll just reset that. It will, trust me, it will crash in a minute. So what I'm going to show you, oh, I've missed it now. I'll have to reset it again. I was just trying to get into the diagnostic side there, the CRC checker. Bit of CRC check. I'll see what that comes back with. Now, bear in mind, it's a bootleg. This, you know, it's not pretending to be anything other than it really is. It's just a copy. Now you can see first ROM there, not good. I think there's all 5 banks actually used here. Quite a bit of program ROM, not good. Now when I tested this originally, the first one came out not good, the second one was okay, and the third one was okay, the fourth one was okay, and the fifth one was okay. Which, you know, as you can see, it's just you know, it's not good, it's not good, it's not good. That's not good. Maybe it's the last one that comes back okay. It might be the last one. Let's see what happens there. Yeah, okay. Ironically, yeah, okay. Right, okay, so you can see this, you know, there's something strange going on there. But, you know, I wouldn't be too concerned about that if the game worked okay, because I would just think, okay, well, it's a bootleg copy. Someone's just, you know, they've just used their own versions of the ROMs, they've decrypted them, etc. Checksums aren't going to match, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the case with this. Like I say, it will crash. It'll crash at random points while you're playing it. And I know for a fact, categorically, it's the program chips here on the first board. And the reason I know this is because whilst it's working, I say working in the loosest fashion, really, in the loosest sense, it's working at the moment, but you'll find that you can only get a quarter through that level, it'll reset, or you can only play for several seconds and then it'll reset, it'll reboot. If you cover, and this is what I did straight away, I thought I was a bit paranoid, but as soon as I saw these, I thought, damn, those need covering up. Covered those up, left it for 20 minutes, came back, switched it on, nothing at all. It just reboot loop, reboot loop, reboot. It will not boot at all with anything covering those windows. Yeah, so the other thing I noticed with this is if you cover these EEPROM windows up and then switch it off, leave it for maybe 10 minutes, switch it back on, it will just not boot. It will not boot at all. Covering those up, or in a darkened room at night or whatever, the game doesn't work. It's like a light sensitive game. And I've never seen that before, but I'm pretty sure it's probably a well documented effect of the of light, just natural light, and the substrate on there or whatever it is that's the non-volatile cell type technology that has can have a reaction to ultraviolet. And I think that's probably one of the problems or symptoms you get where you don't cover these up, as it starts to gradually deteriorate and the bit states start to gradually change. It could even be that the surface is ionized or something, and that's why it now becomes totally sensitive. Like I say, you cover them up, you know, leave it off for a minute, switch it on, it won't boot. Take your hand off, switch it on, and it will boot. It's bizarre. So these, I've got no chance of being able to dump what's on there. So I've had a look round. One of these is, I think, let me think about how these are now. I think one of them is a 4 megabyte chip. I think the other one's a 1 megabyte chip. So not bit, byte, so pretty big one. You've got a 4 megabyte chip there. It's bloody huge. And the nearest I can find in terms of ROM images for these is there's a version of Metal Slug 5 Plus, which contains a 4 meg P2 or whatever, or P1, I forget which way around it is, and 1 meg of the other chip. But all, you know, the sort of standard version, the commercial release or whatever, is I think it's 8 meg. You've got two 4 meg chips, and I'm guessing that's because there's some encryption stuff in there as well. So unfortunately, that's the only version I can find in Metal Slug 4 Plus. What I did is I took the program ROMs from 4 Plus, stuck them into the official ROM of not 4 Plus, 5 Plus ROMs, and stuck these two P chips, the images, the P1, P2, into the Metal Slug 5 official ROM. So it was using the 4 meg and the 1 meg P1 and P2 chips with the official graphics, sound, etc. That works fine, and you don't get the plus thing coming up on the screen, you know, it doesn't say plus or whatever, which I found interesting, because you would think that, you know, and it's probably possibly because the images, the C ROMs on here, on the original, you know, the original Metal Slug 5, don't contain the plus image that where it comes up on the screen, it says plus at the beginning and it's flashing on the screen. But maybe the code still is in there somewhere to say I want you to display it, but it doesn't display it because there's nothing to display. So I don't know. What I'm trying to get at here is that I'm going to may have a bit of a mismatch between the ROM images I'm going to use to replace these with, because I've ordered 2 new chips with pre-programmed ROMs again. Whether or not that's going to work or not, we're just going to have to sort of suck it and see, really, and see how we get on with that. But it's interesting, you know, looking at the design of these again, you know, familiar techniques. You know, when you look at some of the other multicarts and stuff that done breakdowns off, you've got a lattice chip here again. It's the same sort of thing, you know, little CPLD/FPGA doing your mapping, because that's what these are. These chips effectively, the mappers. You know, think back to the old NES emulation days when I wrote the NES emulator. This is exactly what you got. Not like this, not exactly. What I mean is you got chips on the carts which were called mappers, and typically they were sort of address decoders. You know, they'd use bank switching logic to, you know, switch between different chips. You know, say for instance, like on this scenario where you've got a 4 meg chip, it probably can't address 4 meg. It can probably only address half a meg or something, and there'll be, you know, a series of pins and things in here used to switch the individual upper address lines depending on control signals sent by the software, you know, into the mapper chip. And that's typically how these sorts of things work. Sometimes they're a little more complex, they contain other sort of functions and features and stuff, but that's basically it. You can see the quality is a bit shocking. Look at the state of that chip there, it's not very well aligned, the solder's a bit shit, there's flux or epoxy or something all over the place. Diodes again on there, not all 3.3, you know, that's you can get weird things with these, and you know, and it wouldn't surprise me if you know, had some further problems with this because of this, and I might even swap that out for a 3.3 volt regulator. But you've got different suppliers here, because these chips obviously work for +5, so there's going to be +5 going to those, but then this is going to be +3, 3.3, and there's a chip on that side, that's 3.3. So yeah, interesting. I can't believe they do that kind of design where they're mixing voltage levels, but I guess there's probably nothing wrong with it. It might be a legit way of doing things. I certainly wouldn't like to do something like that personally. If you're going to do 3.3, stick 3.3. Don't start having half the chips on there at 5 and some of them at 3.3. I don't know. It might not be an issue with this lattice, and at the end of the day, all it's doing is routing the address lines. So you can have your 5 volts. You know, you've still got standard TTL levels, and I'm guessing that's probably going to be TTL or not very far off, and it'd be enough to work. Yeah, so I need to do a bit of tidying up on that. Swap those out. Get 3.3 volt regulator on there. I'm probably going to move that. I'm going to have to take that chip off. I can't leave it like that. Sorry, that chip. And I'm going to just shift it a little bit, because that's just looks really crap. And redo all the soldering there. Just give it a clean down, and that should be good to go. The graphics and sound and things seem perfect on this game. It is just a program ROM issue, and I'll do a similar thing to this board. Again, 2 diodes. You know, swap it out with a 3.3 volt regulator. I think in this instance, that I'm not sure if that's a PAL or CPLD or what. Just looking at it, I think that's probably a PAL actually. Yeah, misaligned chips again, 3.3 volt. Those will be 5 volt. Yeah, so there are some 5 volt components on there. It's going to be probably that. Those may be 5 volt as well actually, I don't know, but we've certainly got some 3.3 on there. Those are going to be 3.3. Nothing on that side apart from some shitty solder, some really questionable soldering going on there. Anyway, yeah, so I'll do a repair video for that soon. No point covering those up, let's say. It won't even work if I want to be messing around with it at the moment. It won't even work if I cover these up for the moment. It's becomes so light sensitive. Yeah, no, it's got one of these little funny sort of labels and things on there. It looks a little bit reflective. I don't know if it's supposed to be a fake original or what. I think the original ones were blue, so that's not even pretending to be an original label really. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.